is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I got to give it to him. Bud the best right here. Hands down, he the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. But I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith stepped up and challenged Floyd Mayweather for trying to minimize what Terence Crawford achieved after defeating Canelo Álvarez. Smith argued that what Crawford pulled off was historic, emphasizing that no fighter before him had reached undisputed status across multiple weight divisions. The way he made it clear that Crawford built his legacy through grit and dominance and deserves full respect rather than doubt in Smith. View the victory over Canelo was not just another notch on the record, but a career-defining moment that pushed Crawford into the conversation of all-time greats. He firmly stated that no criticism from Mayweather can diminish the magnitude of what Crawford accomplished.
The best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather did not hold back when discussing the upset Terence Crawford delivered to Canelo Álvarez. He stated that the loss will forever be attached to Canelo's legacy, reminding everyone that Canelo stood as the undisputed ruler of that division with total control and authority over his challengers. Yet he was brought down by a fighter bold enough to move up in weight and confront him on his own turf. Jeff made it clear this was not a minor setback, but a lasting mark that will follow Canelo. Named throughout boxing history, he explained that champions in their prime are defined by signature moments, and for Canelo that defining chapter became a crushing defeat at the hands of Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What does this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith could hardly contain his admiration after witnessing Terence Crawford's stunning triumph. He made it clear that being there in person made the moment even more powerful for him. According to Smith, boxing history has never seen a fighter accomplish what Crawford just did, stepping up in weight and dismantling a dominant champion like Canelo with such authority. He described it as a legacy-defining performance that separates Crawford from the pack and guarantees this night a permanent place in the sport history. For Smith, it was far more than a championship bout. It marked a turning point in how greatness is measured in boxing.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Álvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford trainer did not hesitate after the fight, stating that Terence has absolutely nothing left to prove in his eyes. The level Crawford has reached demands unquestioned respect, even though some critics still hesitate to give it. That lingering doubt only highlights how, despite dominating one of the biggest names in boxing, Crawford continues to fight narratives outside the ring. The trainer made it clear that Terence is not focused on lining up another opponent right now, because what he accomplished against Canelo already secures his place in history. For Crawford, this moment was no longer about chasing big names, it was about building a legacy that speaks for itself and cannot be ignored.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Álvarez take, and Canelo Álvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Álvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the strongest takes, yet placing Terence Crawford head-to-head with Floyd Mayweather. He said Crawford now deserves to be mentioned at the very top in any greatest of all-time debate. For Bradley, this was bigger than a single victory over Canelo. It was about redefining what pound-for-pound supremacy truly represents. He acknowledged that Floyd perfected his craft in his own era, but insisted that Crawford just showed he can operate on an even greater level by stepping up and defeating Canelo at full strength. In Bradley's view, that performance elevated Crawford into rare territory reserved only for the true legends of boxing.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. shared a balanced take, explaining that this situation was very different from when Floyd Mayweather defeated Canelo years ago. He pointed out that Floyd faced a younger and less experienced version of Canelo, which allowed him to rely on his skill and ring intelligence to control the fight. This time, however, Terence Crawford stepped in against a fully developed and battle-tested Canelo who had ruled his division for years. Even though Crawford was naturally the smaller man, he still broke him down and took control. For Roy, that reality makes the accomplishment even more remarkable, because Crawford conquered a stronger, smarter, and more complete Canelo than the one Floyd encountered.
Great in Canelo Álvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to find it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Álvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie admitted he was left speechless by what unfolded inside the ring from his perspective. Canelo simply had no solution for Terence Crawford. Constant pressure, blazing speed, and pinpoint accuracy. He labeled the showing extraordinary and said it stands as one of the most dominant performances seen in modern boxing. McKenzie emphasized that Crawford did more than secure undisputed status. He demonstrated a level of control that makes him appear nearly untouchable even against elite competition. His reaction was filled with admiration, making it clear that Crawford has raised the bar to a height that very few fighters in any era will ever be able to match.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney. And I think it was him that actually suggested, call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition. And now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to win round.
Trainer Robert Garcia delivered one of the most powerful endorsements of Terence Crawford, stating that in this situation, he accomplished something even greater than Floyd Mayweather. Garcia noted that Crawford controlled the fight, with Canelo winning the vast majority of rounds and showing a level of hunger and aggression rarely seen at that level. He explained that Floyd never stepped into a scenario quite like this, where a naturally smaller fighter moves up and completely dominates a bigger. Reigning champion Garcia emphasized that this victory stands apart not because of titles alone, but because of the courage to take a massive risk and succeed. In his view, that willingness to chase danger and still come out on top is what truly separates legends from the rest.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, three-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, if he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But but I would be so happy to hear he retired.
Brian Norman Sr. left no doubt when he stated that Terence Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Álvarez was far more brutal than anything Floyd Mayweather had ever accomplished. His statement struck a chord with fans and analysts alike, because it captured the reality of what happened in the ring. Canelo, long hailed as the king of his division, was not merely defeated, he was methodically broken down by a fighter who had moved up 2 weight classes to challenge him. Crawford delivered a performance that was nothing short of a masterclass, redefining what greatness looks like in modern boxing. For years, Canelo Álvarez dominated the super middleweight division. He was the face of the sport, fought the biggest names, and built a reputation as one of the most marketable champions of his era. His dominance made him seem nearly untouchable, with opponents struggling against his powerful combinations and precise pressure. Yet, in a single night, Crawford demolished that image. The shock lay not only in the result, but in the way it unfolded. Canelo was not simply outpointed or edged on the cards. He was outclassed, left grasping for solutions that never appeared.
I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, but he's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, I'm sorry, not Canelo. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Primo or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation with the styles they fight. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing with the styles they fight. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah,
well,
different eras, different. It's a different a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, a legend himself, put Terence Crawford's victory into proper historical perspective. He called it a generational moment, one that boxing fans will remember for decades as a pivotal turning point in the sport. Ward explained that performances like this define careers and distinguish great fighters from timeless icons. What stood out to him was Crawford's discipline, staying composed, sharp and strategic from start to finish, never letting emotions cloud his judgment. For Ward, this was a GOAT performance that firmly placed Crawford in the discussion among the greatest of all time. By dismantling Canelo so decisively, Crawford elevated himself to a level very few fighters in history have ever reached.
Beat Canelo Álvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Álvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another Mayweather challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more. Until next time.